Alright, hey guys, so with the North American launch for the PlayStation Vita soon approaching, I thought it would be a good idea to print up a list, a very large list, of all the North American launch games that are coming out for the PlayStation Vita here in the United States. And I have to tell you guys, I looked over this list. I personally think this is the best launch lineup for any system ever. The amount of genres that are covered, big name games from big name series. I guess the only fault that it has going for it is that, there's hardly any original titles on here. There's a couple, but for the most part it kind of falls back on existing series and franchises, which is definitely not a bad thing. But I figured what I'd do is I'd go through the list in alphabetical order, tell you which games I'm most excited for, which ones you guys should be most excited for, because there's a few on here that are definitely going to go under the radar. So let's get started. Oh, and just for reference, the PlayStation Vita, the launch bundle comes out in North America on February 15th. And that comes with little Deviants and a 4GB memory card and a case to store the Vita in, and that is the 3G version. But I kind of wanted to get the 3G one anyway to future-proof myself so that I don't feel bad about not getting the 3G one, a year down the road. And then the regular US launch happens on February 22nd, where all the games will be available and everything. So, let's get started here. First game on the list is Army Corps of Hell. This game is being published by Square Enix, and the best way to describe this game is think Pikmin paired with, like, demons, darkness, hell, and heavy metal. Now, this is one that I honestly am probably going to wait for some reviews on because it looks very interesting. But the way I compare it to Pikmin is because you control your group of your army. It's grouped together, and you can determine how many of your army soldiers you can throw out at the enemies at once. Very, very similar to Pikmin. Looks very unique, very different, but I'm going to wait to see what other people think on that one. Next is Asphalt Injection. Now, the list that I'm going through here, first of all, these are all day one launch titles, so all of these will be available by February 22nd, and then later on I'll get into the launch window games, which means that they can come out a month or two or so after the Vita comes out. Asphalt Injection, that's actually a pretty big series now on the iOS platform. I've only played the ones that are on the DS. I downloaded Asphalt, which was on the DSiWare, and I played the first Asphalt on the Nintendo DS. I actually really enjoyed those. Oh, and Asphalt 3D as well on the 3DS, but that game was kind of rushed and had a lot of problems. So here's hoping that Asphalt Injection, yet another Asphalt launch game for a handheld platform, doesn't have the same problems the 3DS version had, which was very buggy, very weird car mechanics and drive mechanics. So from what I've seen, though, it actually looks really impressive. Graphic-wise, maybe a little bit limited in terms of what the PS Vita can push, but that's what I'm going to be looking out for. And as of right now, the prices on these are just starting to get finalized, so a lot of these games, believe it or not, even high-profile games, are $29.99, while some of them are $49.99, like Uncharted. Ben 10 Galactic Racing D3, I don't know anything about that game personally, just not for me. BlazBlue Continuum Shift Extended. I don't know, after buying BlazBlue on the 3DS and being sorely disappointed with that, I might take a little bit of time off from the BlazBlue games, but however, this one does benefit from being able to use the joystick on the Vita, I imagine and hope, because the 3DS version, you had to use the D-pad, and it was very cumbersome. I didn't really care for it too much. 3D was kind of unremarkable, so who knows, maybe this one could be pretty good. I think they're adding in an extra character or two. Dungeon Hunter Alliance, this is one for you guys to look out for. This game was available on the PlayStation 3 as a downloadable game, and I think it was also available on the iPhone, I believe. But this is going to be a 4-player online. This is very important because there's not a lot of games coming out on launch with online play for the Vita. An online 4-person dungeon crawl over the head kind of Diablo-style game. There's 3 different classes. It would kind of make sense if they added in a 4th class since it's 4-player co-op, but whatever. You got like your regular warrior, your thief rogue type character, and then the mage. And it's just a loot whoring game. You just go into the dungeons. I mean, that's the best way to put it. You go into the dungeons and you just kill tons and tons of enemies, get better equipment, get that epic loot gear, the purple gear, and just keep on gearing up a character and level up. Definitely one that I'm going to be picking up at launch. Dynasty Warriors next. Not my kind of thing. I'm a little worn out from Dynasty Warriors style games lately, so if you're into Dynasty Warriors, though, that's another high-profile series that's going to be available at launch for the Vita. F1 2011. I'm not really into the F1 series in terms of racing-style games. I'm more into Ridge Racer and kart-style games. So, EA Sports FIFA Soccer, once again, not my kind of thing. Hot Shots Golf World Invitational. This is actually the biggest selling game in Japan right now, and by the way, the Vita isn't performing that well in Japan. This past week, the regular PSP outsold the Vita. So hopefully the Vita has a pretty, good lifespan going on for it, but if Japan's launch is any indication, it's not doing too good. But I have high hopes. Hot Shots Golf, though, I've never really played too much of this series, so this is not going to be one I'm going to pick up day one, but maybe if it goes on sale down the road, I might pick it up. Little Deviants, this is coming in with the 3G bundle, and Little Deviants looks really good. It's sort of like a collection of different styles of gameplay, so there's like mini games included, but the biggest thing that really draws my attention out of all the mini games that they included is the tech demo that they like to show off the most, where you can use the rear touch panel on the Vita to push up the landscape in the game. So you use the back touch panel and it raises the ground in the game, and you use that to roll your character around. I'm not sure exactly how much of the game is comprised of that gameplay mechanic, but to me it looks amazing, and it really sells the Vita's #1 gimmick, I guess you can say, of having the rear touch panel, which looks really fun. Here is, guys, my #1 most anticipated game for the Vita, and a lot of you are probably thinking it's Uncharted, but it's not. This is my favorite puzzle series ever, and this is the latest in the series, and that is Luminous Electronic Symphony. Do not let this one fall under your radar, because I checked lists of like people's games that they're most excited for the Vita, and this one was like on nobody's. Guys, I'm telling you, Luminous, if you've never played Luminous on the PSP, or even the console versions, and you're getting a Vita, you must get Luminous if you're a fan of puzzle games whatsoever. Luminous 1 on the PSP is by far one of the best puzzle games you can ever play. Luminous 2, they kind of screwed up with some stuff, but I didn't really care for the live videos that they had in the background, and I don't feel like playing Luminous with, like, the Black Eyed Peas and Gwen Stefani playing in the background. The console versions kind of had a bad reputation, especially Luminous Live, because they released that game for like $15 or $20 that lacked a lot of content that they later released over time, so that game got a little pricey, but I personally love Luminous Live. But guys, check out Luminous Electronic Symphony. It kind of goes back to the original style of the first one, with a lot of electronic techno-style songs. What an amazing game. Can't wait. Michael Jackson, The Experience, whatever, not my thing. ModNation Racers Road Trip. Believe it or not, I think I'm going to wait until this one goes on sale. It's not going to be a launch, a day one pickup for me, because there's other racing games that I want more than this. But ModNation Racers, it seems like it could be a lot of fun to make the tracks with the touchscreen and everything, but I didn't have a lot of good memories, and I didn't really care too much for the PS3 version. It had some problems with slowdown, and the controls are a little bit overly complex, I felt, for a kart racer. I couldn't get into it. Rayman Origins, that would be a really great pickup for those of you that haven't picked up the console version yet, so definitely a really good game. Shinobido 2 Revenge of Zen. This game here, it's a series I've never played before, and it's compared to, say, the Tenchu games and Metal Gear Solid, so a combination of like Tenchu meets Metal Gear Solid. It's a stealth-based ninja action game where, from the gameplay I've seen so far, you kind of run around on rooftops and you have to try and assassinate samurais and guys that are roaming around on the ground. And Metal Gear Solid-wise, it kind of resembles that, because they have sort of set paths that they take, and when you do kill them and assassinate them, you can pick up the bodies and move them so that none of the other enemies can see them. And your main target is, one standalone person from what I've seen. So in a way, it kind of resembles Assassin's Creed in a way as well. There's like a level up system where, depending upon which factions you choose to align with, you'll level them up and they'll give you more quests and stuff like that. I haven't seen too much gameplay, because most of the gameplay I've watched, people don't know what they're doing in the game, so it's kind of hard to judge it for sure, but it looks interesting. I'm not sure if I'll be picking this one up right away, though. This is the day one launch title for me, one of my most anticipated games, and that is Touch My Katamari. I like the Katamari Damacy games, and this one has a really cool gameplay style to it, where you can use the touchscreen, the front or the back touchscreen, to expand your Katamari or scrunch it up so it's like really tall and you can move really fast. So different gameplay elements that differentiate itself from the past Katamari games, because how much more complex can these things get? You're just rolling around a ball and collecting things. So now you have a touchscreen mechanic where you can stretch your ball around to go under things or get more items at once. So that looks like a lot of fun. This is a really big launch game, even though I'm not going to be getting it myself, but Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is going to be available on launch for the Vita. That's a really big title. So definitely, if you're a fan of fighting games, that's one to look out for. Uncharted Golden Abyss. Now, this is not developed by Naughty Dog. It still looks really good. Unfortunately, some gameplay I've watched think it was like gameplay from 1UP, where they said the controls and the shooting mechanics feel really off, and it's kind of hard to aim and shoot. So I'm still going to be picking it up. Unfortunately, it's like one of the most expensive games on the Vita. It is $50, but I think as a showcase, and just to see Uncharted on a handheld, I think it'll be really worth it. Virtua Tennis 4 World Tour Edition. Not my kind of game, but it's a very popular tennis series. This is another game I'm really, really anticipating. Once again, has online. wipEout 2048. I played the wipEout game on the PSP, the first one that came out, and I really enjoyed that. It's a very, very hard racing series, but it's got a unique feel that no other racing series can kind of capture, even the ones in the same genre of like futuristic space ship racing. It's got a really unique feel. The spaceships have weight to it, and this game looks phenomenal on the Vita. Okay, and one more game that's not on the list here that they actually just added, yesterday to the launch lineup of games is Ninja Gaiden Sigma Plus, I think they call it. Ninja Gaiden Sigma Plus is coming out at launch for the Vita. So once again, another very high-profile game for the Vita. Alright, and now on to the downloadable games that are going to be available on day one for the PlayStation Vita. And this is one of my most anticipated games for the launch, and you guys have to look into this one. It's $10, and it's Escape Plan. It's a black and white puzzle game. We have two characters where basically each screen is its own puzzle, and you have to move them from point A to point B. But it's got amazing animation, and the really cool gameplay mechanic to it is how it uses the rear touch panel, where you can push stuff from the background to the foreground using the rear touch panel, like pushing blocks, and then push it back to the background from the foreground using the front touchscreen. Looks like a lot of fun. This is definitely one, guys. You have to check this out. I'm telling you, if you're going to download one game, make sure it's Escape Plan. Hustle Kings, that's like a pool kind of game. I'm not really into pool. Plants vs. Zombies, it's available on like every platform, so if you want it on the Vita, there you go. Another game that's going to be really good for this is Super StarDust Delta. It's going to be just like the Super StarDust HD on the PlayStation 3. However, this time you can use the touchscreen to like summon black holes and use the rear touchscreen to use some of your power-ups as well. So, once again, the rear touchscreen stuff is actually looking pretty cool in a lot of Vita games. And this last one here, there's only one gameplay video I could find that's like 30 seconds long. It's called Tales of Space Mutant Blobs. It mostly resembles, to me, it looks like Loco Roco meets like puzzle mechanics in a way, and touchscreen mechanics. So that's the best way I can describe it, with like this blob alien thing. There's not too much info on it out there, but once again, it's going to be a cheap downloadable game, so maybe I'll give it a try. And this list, this next list of games here are just launch window games, so these won't be out on launch day one when you pick up your system, but they will be coming out within the next month or two in the US for the Vita. Disgaea 3, Absence of Detention. I'm not really into the Disgaea series, but that's definitely big news for anybody that is. This is a lot of people's most anticipated PS Vita game. Me personally, it's my second most anticipated after Luminous, and that's Gravity Rush. This is amazing looking gravity-based action adventure game with very light RPG elements. There's really no way to describe it except that the combat involves your character floating in the air, and you send her like as a projectile flying at her enemies to do different attacks. It's so unique and so different looking. You just have to check out some gameplay on it. Gravity Rush, definitely one of the best looking Vita games. Lego Harry Potter years 5 through 7. MLB 12, The Show. There's Ninja Gaiden. Reality Fighters, sort of like it's a virtual reality type game where you use your Vita, and where you point your Vita, your characters are projected into the world. So if you're like looking out the window of your house or something and pointing your Vita out your window, it'll look like, your characters are fighting outside the front of your house or something. So, whatever, not my kind of thing. Ridge Racer, there's a lot of controversy behind this game. I personally am still looking forward to it despite having the lack of content, because my hope is that by the time this comes out in the US, they're going to fix that whole problem of 3 racetracks and like 6 cars. So maybe when it comes out in the US, they'll include all the downloadable content that was in the Japanese version, and hopefully learn from their mistake. Silent Hill Book of Memories, that should be pretty cool for fans of the series. Supremacy MMA Unrestricted, and last but not least, a game that actually looks really good, and that's Unit 13. This is being developed by Zipper. Of course, you guys know Zipper does the SOCOM series, and I've kind of fallen off of my love for the SOCOM series. As much as I love the originals, 1, 2, and a little bit of 3, Uncharted. SOCOM 4 I didn't even bother buying because it looked nothing to me like the original SOCOM. So I'm hoping that Unit 13 can kind of get that SOCOM feel back, because it's a third-person shooter that has online play supposedly, I think. And hopefully Zipper can get their act straight and give us a game that, you know, fans have been dying for. So there you go, guys. That is the launch list of PlayStation Vita games that I will definitely be buying day one. Asphalt, I'm really thinking about it. It's going to depend on the price. So if it's $30, I'll get it. Dungeon Hunter Alliance, I will be getting. Little Deviants, obviously, because it's in the bundle. Luminous, of course. Touch My Katamari, of course. Uncharted, yes. wipEout, yes. And download games, Escape Plan, Super Stardust Delta, and maybe Tales of Space Mutants. So, there you go, guys. What games are you getting for the PlayStation Vita? What games are you most anticipating? What are your definite day one purchases? That's what I want to know. Leave a comment below, and thanks for watching, guys.